Good morning, world. Good morning, South Africa. Beystor Makoala here once more from BMTA. Thanks for joining us again for this session that's going to be not necessarily about reviewing any farm at the moment, but it's going to be about, and I don't want to say mistakes that Conceal carriers make on a daily basis, but it'll be more about some of the observations that I've made over time. And it won't necessarily be about here's top 10 things to consider. It'll just be random things. Of course, I'll have a specific order in terms of how I'll cover stuff. With that said, why do you carry a firearm in the first place, right? Think about that. For me, it's mostly about sports shooting or competition. However, sometimes you need one of these to actually make sure that you carry a firearm. For instance, here I've got a Caesar P10C that I've made clear. There's nothing in the magazine as well. Both magazines are empty. All right, with that, seeing that we're talking about ADC, we'll also get to have a look at a knife, a nice small one, and maybe a light as well. This is a Next Torch WL10X. I bought it a couple of years ago. I don't even remember what it is. Okay, but let's start with belts. And I'll show you an example of a day-to-day belt that I would use, maybe wear it to the office. And as you can see, it's flimsy and it actually starts to break apart. So it's not necessarily a great belt for everyday carry. It doesn't matter whether you carry 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, maybe even appendix, right? That will be followed by a nice holster. Talking about appendix, this is a great one. Holster, it's for a 6-hour P35 XL that I actually purchased from, I bought this from a friend of mine here in South Africa. Very, very nice holster. And then for the most part, I've been running the Daniel's holsters for the 365 XL. I had a Romeo one on here, so that's why I had to cut that open so that we can ensure that we can reholster without causing any harm, and then the firearm is indeed nicely tucked into here. All right, so that's holsters, right? A nice Kydex holster, because they are leather holsters. I speak to a lot of friends of mine who say yes, a lot of leather holster will be nice and comfortable. Yeah, but look, especially if you're going to be carrying one up or one in a chamber, then you need to make sure that you've got something solid, especially if you're going to be carrying appendix, because you want to make sure that even when you reholster, you take your time, you look at what you're doing, you lift your shirt, and then you do that. It doesn't matter whether you carry here as well, you just do that. What I see a lot in competition especially is that someone will finish a stage, unload and show clear, and then it'll just be in a rush to reholster, right, without even maybe having a look. That's all the time you have. You've got all the time in the world to actually make sure that the firearm is indeed safe and clear. We've seen a couple of discharges accidentally at the range, that is. Okay, the one other thing that comes to mind is concealability. All right, I usually wear a jacket, like a suit. As you can see, I'm wearing pants here. I've got like a nice shirt from when I was doing my loan operator over here. But think about what you wear, right? Make sure that it's nicely concealable. Whether it's this nice shirt, if it's one of these, I'm gonna just turn around for a little bit, and then if we can get that into the camera action, you'll see that there's no print or there's minimal print. So conceal. In South Africa, we're not allowed to really open carry. So and the other thing that you need to think about is that if there's a bad guy out there, you want to make sure that they don't really see or suspect that you are indeed carrying a firearm. Otherwise, retention may be another challenge, because they will then come for you, especially if it's like 4 or 5 guys or so. All right, so I made a video about a year ago of dry firing, right? And just make sure you dry fire, get used to the controls. This is indeed safe, and then we definitely saw that, right? I'll take a dry fire shot, and then you practice your mag changes, how you reload, how smooth that is, all the controls, how you lock it to the rear, how you point and shoot without even aligning the sights at like maybe 3 meters or so. Okay, so, and then remember that there's a difference between practice and training. Because practice, you go to the range, steel popper, steel plates, like we usually set up at SWAT. By the way, please continue to commenting, sharing and subscribing as much as possible. We appreciate your support. We go out there, we practice for the most part, but sometimes you take a training program such as the loan operator, or some of the work that we do around proficiency here at the company in conjunction with the G2627 tactical group. Okay. I had an interesting conversation yesterday about someone who was looking at purchasing a firearm, and then they asked about different things like the grip angle. As you can see, this one's nice and solid. And then even if I had to go to any other firearm, I mean, I train, I do this stuff all the time. So wrong gun, you get the right gun, you come to the range, join friends, or you go to a gun shop, try out a few firearms and then see what works best for you. Okay, and then just go out there. Don't go around touching your shirt all the time and wanting to feel that your piece is still there or not. That's not the way to do it. Last but not least, I want to touch on something that I also hate to do, but I had to set up this 6-hour bag. All right, I will make sure that I clear the firearm in here. It's my Springfield XDM Elite. I had to transport it, but I will just make sure that it's dry. Okay, as you can see, nothing in the mag well. So if your firearm is going to be in a bag like this, especially if you are going to be reaching for it this way, having to unzip while you run, perhaps while you drive. Remember, we don't encourage violence, but we mostly do this stuff for competition. But it's just, I had to share my observation. I had to share some tips, or I have to rather, with the rest of the world, or maybe bulk of South Africans that follow my channel. So could be a good idea, maybe not so much. So I would avoid that as much as possible. But if you feel like there's anything that you'd like to add on here, please go ahead and do so in the comments box below, and then I'll do my best to also share as much as I can through there. I'll share the links and things like that. With that said, stay safe, and remember, firearms are not necessarily for killing people, but we use them for competition. Take care.